Just do this for me, and then I'll come. I wanted to deal with my mothers, but I see Kwesi Kwarteng shaking the head in one of the things, so I'll come to him to pick a response, and I'll go back to it. But before, I mean, you did analysis as to how much parents are spending today. Before the policy, how much was the parent spending?
Before the policy, the fee was about 1,200 cedis for boarders, okay, in an academic year. The day students, it was virtually free. It was 20 cedis or so, okay. But it was 1,200 cedis. So there were significant costs, and there were significant cost barriers before the policy was introduced. That was the last student bill that was released. I'm quoting from the last student bill. So when the policy was introduced, government absorbed that cost. But what I'm saying is that cost I am mentioning to you is the cost that parents were paying to the schools. The amount parents were paying to the schools was not even half of how much they were spending. Because the prospectus cost was a cost parents were paid to schools. You understand?
They went to buy.
So basically, the 1,200 or so that parents were paying in 2016, 2017 for an academic year for boarding students mainly comprised the feeding and then uniforms. If you look at the bill, and then the small, utilities, and then those ones. But the major cost, so far as the economics of secondary education in Ghana was concerned, parents spend more preparing their students for school than the direct fees. Because if you cost a prospectus, this year, because of the harmonized prospectus regime that the JoyNews adopted, it reduced the cost of prospectus considerably. But at least you require 3,000. You understand? In many markets, we costed one from one particular school at Medina Market, and it was 2,300. Later, some items were added. And when they go to school, when they go to school, we have to get students in school. When we got to school, other items were added. You understand? And so we ended up going around 4,000 for the lowest. Okay, and some as high as 6,000, 7,000. The point I want to make is that parents spend heavily on prospectus and non-prospectus items, different from what they were previously paying under the free senior high school policy. And so they are still very, very significant. And in our report, we interviewed 20 parents. Look, we interviewed 20 parents. We started by interviewing 20 students who were given admission but couldn't go to school over a 3-year period. They were placed but couldn't go. The highest aggregate was 14. So in our report, you see the interviews are there. The names are there, you can check. Now, then we followed that from the schools that they were placed in and went to their junior high schools, interviewed their junior high school headmasters, got in touch with their parents through their junior high school headmasters, interviewed their parents to find out how Kofi Menu was not able to go to school last year, even though they were placed, and understood the circumstances of Kofi Menu, why Kofi Menu, who had 14, couldn't go to Pandu Technical. I hope you are getting it. So that is the story behind the statistics. I'm not saying that people are not going to school. Majority of students, 2.5 are in school. Okay, over the period, 200,000 were placed but couldn't add admissions in that particular year. The data is there. This last year, 2023, that number reduced to 5,000. It used to be up to between 10 and 12% of the total number of placed students. But it reduced to only 2% in 2023. And the real number was about 7,000 or so. So we saw a decline. It's not yet a trend, but it happened in 2023, which is great. But the point I want to make is that there are people who are qualifying, they are being placed and not being able to go to senior high school because there are significant cost barriers in relation to the expenditure level of their households. And so we must begin to have a discussion about that, even as we are having issues with feeding.